Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Be 7 or 8. Wake up on a summer day. Head out of the room to the kitchen. Mom's making stuff on the stove. Go downstairs, right next to the kitchen entrance. Come to landing with a door on the left leading to a bathroom-laundry room hybrid, the garage entrance ahead, and grandparents' room on the right. Lights off and leave it off because kitchen light shines down. Grandparents were usually asleep as both work around 3. Right next to the stairs leading to the landing are stairs going the opposite direction into the basement. Fuck off down those. Pass through a birch wood door, leave it open in childhood fear. Basement smells like AMC Butter Lovers popcorn cause I ate that shit down there like it was the last food on earth. Pass the weirdest little alcove on the far right wall. Shit's like a stone closet with no door, just an open curtain my parents set up to block it off. The tiniest window embedded in the ceiling. Too opaque to see anything, but transparent enough to let light pass through. Window leads right up to the front doorstep. Past the cedar medieval ass looking door leading right into the dingy fucking storage room, keep that shit shut. Vents and furnace inside, and no matter what light you bring in there nothing illuminates the space behind all that machinery. Go past the back side of black leather couches to the left, and an alcove to the right with a TV stand, VHS player, and tons of tapes. In the alcove, against the wall ahead, sat a yellow couch with bits of brown fur sewed in. Shit looked gross, thankfully we had long since disposed of it. In front of the black leather couches, a TV braced against the wall. Thing was massive, imagine an old CRT TV nearly touching the ceiling. Panasonic, I think. Sit down on the couch, settle under a blanket, grab the remote and watch Cartoon Network, when it wasn't shit, any time before Chowder and Flapjack. Get breakfast, eat popcorn, whatever while watching cartoons until 3. Grandparents have to leave for work. Dad was already at work, so mom has to drive them. Parents usually take me along because they were afraid to leave me home alone. They decide I can stay home alone today. They leave. During commercial break, have the urge to look at the birch door frame and into the landing above. Light from the kitchen shines down into the landing. See a head's shadow cross the light. Looked like a lady with her hair tied in a bun on the back of her head. Seen scary movies, no better than to check that shit out. So I keep my eyes glued on that box of light until I hear the shushing sound of the front glass mesh door open and the footsteps of my dad. Freaked me out as a kid. When I told my mom about it, keeping in mind she was pretty much a pathological liar, she said my uncle, who moved in later, father, and grandpa all felt a choking feeling seldom through the house. Apparently, according to her, the stone closet in the basement was a well. Some woman's husband threw her down there to drown. Later the government sealed it up because it was a safety hazard. Never bothered to follow my mother up on the story. For all I know she could have been lying about the whole thing. Has been my one and only experience in my life so far. I suppose that isn't entirely true. Be in high school. Have a great friend who is a real social butterfly. Let's call him Lightman. We and another friend walked back to my house after getting drinks from a Walmart in the middle of the night. While walking down a dark road, we decide to share some scary stories. I tell them about the well and shadow lady. Lightman decides to tell us that he and 3 of his smoking hot female cousins all decided to fuck with an Ouija board. Fuck with an Ouija board. Other friend goes ballistic and says that some voodoo shit he messed with. Lightman reassures that nothing really happened. Well, except for some strange power he now has ever since the encounter. On occasion lights that were off turn on around him, or lights that are on will temporarily go dark. He says this as we come up one of the only lampposts on the road. It lights a decent amount of the street conjoining the one next to us and a lush of trees leading up to someone's house. Can't see anything past the trees. Light goes out. This motherfucker has summoned the unholy alliance of light fucking ghosts to terrify 2 high school students. Freaked out, we all decide to jaywalk across the quiet road to the other, equally dark side. Our logic was, get butt fucked by something we can punch, rather than ghosts. I don't talk to Lightman anymore. He just stopped hanging with us after college. He's been doing alright though, nothing life-threateningly spooky yet. I suppose I have one last story to tell. In senior year, Lightman, my friend, and 4 other friends decide to go somewhere spooky. This place is literally out in the fucking sticks, no civilization for miles. It's somewhere in Minnesota, I can't remember where exactly. We decide to park our 2 vehicles in a house, which has a light shining on a patch of dirt in front. First thing we notice is that the house has a front door, and a door above that on the 2nd floor. Almost like a door from the Winchester Mystery Mansion. Why.gif. It's dark inside as we check the place out. We leave it be and head to our actual destination, the abandoned smokestacks. Gate to a path going to the stacks has a sign that says, "No trespassing." Fuck the police. Girl who's in the group start getting cold feet, feeling scared, says she'll stay back. Hell no, we all go in together. I've seen scary movies. Lightman, myself, and a friend from a light incident convince her to come along. Lightman and a friend follow behind the other 3 members in the group. Then the girl, while I take rear guard, head through a path overgrown with weeds like it hadn't been used in years. Pretty normal for an abandoned area. Well, within a few meters is the fence cornering off the smokestacks. One guy in the group fiddles with the lock around the fence, no luck. He tries climbing it and everyone tells him to slow his roll. This guy also has an anxiety problem. Check around the perimeter, and there's a hole in the fence. Everyone ducks in, except for the girl who again is chickening out. Stay outside the fence to keep everyone together so she doesn't go running off and get killed or something. Literally in front of the fence is a wall from the building at the base of the stacks. There's an entrance leading into a tunnel. Everyone on the other side of the fence pulls out their phones and activates their flashlights to get a better look down the hole. Asthma guy freaks out and gets on the other side of the fence. He tries to head back to the cars, and I tell him to wait. He waits, while minutes later everyone on the other side of the fence freaks the fuck out. They mumble about something moving at the end of the tunnel. Wish I could have seen it or gone down to check it out. Can't because of the wet blankets. The other 2 get scared and leave the fence and start heading back. Lightman and friend are still checking out the hole. Tell them to come along, because I don't want us to split up. I've seen scary movies, I know what happens when we split up. We head back and Lightman describes what they saw to me. Apparently a shadowy man. Friend tells me that he looked up at the smokestacks and noticed some lights in the hollow up there. Thought it was eyes. Head back to the house and one of the guys out front speaks up about a light being on in the house and turning off again. We all go to check it out. Friend stays behind the longest pier into the depths of somebody's freaky house. Comes to the cars where we're all waiting and says he saw something moving in the house. We leave after that.
I remember this very vividly, had an experience myself. 2015, September. Live in Nowhere, Wisconsin, a town of about 4,000. First week of my last year of high school, made a bunch of new friends. Playing baseball at around midnight at the local park. Make some joke about a post I saw on /x/ how the world was supposed to end this week. Everyone is mundane and doesn't believe in alien life. Friends are laughing, someone mimics the X-Files theme. Play for a couple more minutes, decide to take a break. We're chilling in relative silence, just listening to the night and feeling the last winds of summer pass through. Suddenly hear this long, drawn-out sound that pierces through the night. Whine stops. Sound happens again. Friends start looking at me, tell me to fuck off and stop trying to prank them. Swear up and down, I'm not doing anything. Sound happens again, this time doesn't stop for a solid 30 seconds, can hear it echoing around. Someone says, it's probably a train. One guy who has lived in the area since birth and knows the inside and out says there isn't a train that comes through. Sound happens again, seems much closer, reverberates through everything, can feel my teeth vibrate. Everyone collectively nopes and we sprint to a friend's house. We all hide in the basement and keep poking through the blinds to peek outside. No one can sleep or relax. The sound happens every once in a while for the next 2 hours. Eventually, see a trio of helicopters with their lights turned off, flying overhead. Sound doesn't resume after. We eventually fall asleep around 4 a.m. Still have no clue what happened that night.
Back when I was in high school, I had a friend named Joe. Joe lived in a farmhouse a few miles outside of town. His parents had some llamas and a little bit of pasture. Joe and I would hang out at his house, stay up all night drinking soda or playing video games or working on old computers that we'd find or scavenge. We're all set to hang out at his house one night because his parents and sister are out of town, which means we can blast loud music all night. Usually I'd take a bus out and then call him from a payphone at a convenience store at the edge of town and he'd come pick me up. But this time I didn't have any change and the clerk wouldn't let me use the store phone, so I said fuck it, I'll just walk. It's full dark, no moon, and there is a super thick fog out. You can barely see 20 feet ahead of you. Kinda spooked, but whatever. Start heading down the road. On one side there are woods and occasional farmhouses down long driveways, roads. On the other side are a creek and thick woods. Start walking. After a while I start to hear some rustling in the bushes on the house side. Figure it's just some raccoons or whatever, keep walking. Keep hearing slight rustling. Sounds like it's following me, starting to get a little spooked. After a while hear a louder rustle in the bushes. I stop and stare intently into the darkness. Starting to get pretty freaked out. All of a sudden, completely out of nowhere, I think about that scene in Jurassic Park where Muldoon gets distracted by one raptor while another one sneaks up and ambushes him. As soon as that thought hits my head, I hear a loud rustle in the woods on the opposite side of the road, directly behind me. Immediately start running. Keep hearing noises behind me. Up ahead is a very small private, rural school. Run directly up to the entrance, stand under the light and security camera. I figure if something comes out of the woods and kills me, at least it'll be on tape. Across the road is a small dirt road over a bridge that goes across the creek, blocked by a metal cattle gate. Next to it is a big metal apartment-style mailbox, directly underneath a tree. Hear rustling across the street again. Can't see anything in the darkness and fog of the woods. The metal gate is slowly moving back and forth, making a quiet metal sound as the wind pushes it gently. Finally start to catch my breath. Realize it was probably just raccoons or snakes or maybe even deer, and I feel stupid for being so scared. Right as I start to walk again, I hear a loud slam. Something has come up and hit the metal mailbox across the road. Immediately hear rustling on my side of the road. Start sprinting, and do not stop until I get to Joe's house. Bang on the door. He lets me in, asks me what the fuck is going on as I'm locking the door behind us. I ran so hard I couldn't catch my breath and was seeing stars. Finally calmed down enough to tell him what happened. He calls me an idiot and eventually I calm down and we end up playing Gran Turismo 2 for most of the night. Pass out. Wake up in the morning. Get ready to take off back to town so I can catch a bus home. Start walking back down the road. Feel stupid, but my heartbeat starts to get quicker as I get closer to the school. Come around the corner and see the metal mailbox. Sitting on top of the mailbox is something bright red, the size of a heart. Slowly get closer and realize it's a fucking apple. The mailbox was directly under a fucking apple tree and one of them fell and hit the box at the exact right moment to scare the shit out of me. Feel like the world's biggest idiot for being so scared of a fucking apple and some raccoons in the wind. Get back to town. Take a bus home. Take a shower. Lay down on my bed and start to chuckle about the entire situation. Then I realized something. The metal gate, blowing slightly in the wind. There couldn't have been wind, because if there was wind there wouldn't have been any fog. Something was moving the gate back and forth. Not as scary of a situation as some people have had, but it still freaked me the fuck out. As a precaution I always made Joe pick me up from then on out.
Be my friend. Live in a rented room in a house with a bunch of other strangers. Upstairs is rented by a family. Downstairs are individually rented rooms. Downstairs people are all wage-ees, so they go out to work during the day. Except this one girl. She looks young, like fresh out of high school, and mostly stays inside. One day, upstairs family notices things are being stolen. Food, snacks, small tools. This goes on and the mom is sick of this. They suspect the Neet Girl. Put chocolate in fridge. To see if things are stolen during the day. When everyone else is out, it was stolen. Mom is pissed. Calls landlord for the master key to inspect Neet's room. When Neet Girl was out of the house, they unlocked her room. A fucking mini stove was on, as in on fire. She left the fucking stove on in her room before going outside. If mom didn't open the door the house would have burned the fuck down. And the walls in this building are those shitty thin wooden ones. Friend's room was right next to hers. Most of the stolen items were scattered in Neet's room, a real fucking mess. Then they found a book underneath her bed. Something like 1,000 Ways to Kill or something. On other cover are pictures of murder items like pliers, knife, tools and shit. Most of the items in the cover are present in her room. When wage-ees arrive home at night, friend included, mom gathers everyone. Scolds the fuck out of Neet Girl. She was not fresh out of high school. She's around mid-20s. Everyone spooked. Every wage-ee held a self-defense item just in case this Neet Girl decides to go berserk. My friend stands by the phone, ready to call the cops at the slightest tick. They decide to kick the Neet Girl out and not call the cops on her. Life goes on. I hope she was just an edgy artist and not an actual killer wannabe. Before all this, before they knew how fucked the Neet Girl was, friend remembered one incident. It was 4 a.m. Neet Girl came knocking on her door. Friend ignored it, kept knocking, kept ignoring it. Eventually she gave up. During the night they kicked her out. Friend asked the Neet Girl what the hell did she want knocking at 4 a.m. Neet Girl just shrugged and said she forgot. My friend thinks she might have gotten shanked or something if she opened that door.
When I was a young edgy Molgoth, my friend group knew this guy who insisted we call him Wolf. Wolf was at least 7 years older than all of us, but we were 14-year-old zany kids and he never seemed like he was dangerous, even if he was huge and there should have been red flags. Actually, he is the person who introduced me to 4chan in 2007. At the time I didn't like the format and I rediscovered the website a year later. I digress. After knowing him for a couple of years, find out he was disgraced in the military. He was making little log shelters, almost like a tent raised 2 feet off of the ground near the mall, so he was closer to us kids. He crashed all of our high school dances, nobody knew how he knew about them. He refused to tell us his real name, only Wolf. It turned out to be Tyler. This was odd because he has an obsession with Fight Club. The one time I hung out with him at his place, he showed me an enormous hard drive with child models. At this point I was done with the guy, but he started messing around with a girl one of my friends was buying weed from, so I was still aware of him. Allegedly, he knocked her up and skipped to the other side of the country in like 2 years ago. Get text message out of nowhere. It's fucking Wolf. One of the dumbest man-child people we used to know gave him my number. Trying to meet up with me while I was in town. Tell him I'm out of state seeing a band. I really was. He texts me a couple of more times between then and this year, nothing substantial, I ignore them. The climax. Girl from Mall Rat Days posts YouTube video this summer of an arrest. It's fucking Wolf. He and his new lover had kidnapped his ex-girlfriend. Like broke into her apartment and dragged her out kidnapped. They chained her in the back of a van. Drove from Las Vegas almost to the Mexican border in 24 hours. The portion with him in the back of the police car, he's extremely calm and seemingly lucid, but obviously trying to break out. We were very naive and trusting kids, I blame the pot. I shudder to think what could have happened to one of us, or what he's done that I'm unaware of. In retrospect, he was a textbook classic /B/user, fucked up eccentric manipulative Minecraft streamer. Disarmingly funny though. I'm grateful that I and all of my friends didn't come to any harm.
In high school, a friend of mine with a bunch of other teens broke into one of the most historically haunted places in Clovis, California, the Wolf Manor, an abandoned mental asylum that was briefly turned into a haunted house attraction before being torn down. They brought dowsing rods and any other equipment they could think of. They found their way in through a window in the back, and my friend used the dowsing rods as soon as he could. He insisted that when he asked if they were alone, the rods parted, after he had explained that crossing the rods was for yes and parting them was for no. He asked if they were in danger, and he said the rods crossed in his hands. He insists he didn't fake it, and he doesn't seem like a pathological liar to me. Scared but in denial, he ignored it and then went upstairs somewhere to rifle through whatever old files he could find. He used the rods again upstairs, exclaimed again how to say yes or no with the rods, and asked if he was alone. They parted. He asked if whoever was there if they were lonely. They crossed. Then he asked if whoever was there would like to come home with him. They crossed again. For a second time. Nothing else of incident happened that night, but he said when he got home, he noticed all over the stereotypical signs of a haunting. He had scratches that night on his back, that he noticed in the shower. Strange noises occurred in the house throughout the rest of the year. Family stated they saw doors open or cabinets slam shut at odd hours. After he moved out, his family still insisted that the house was haunted. He never explained to them what he did at Wolf Manor, but he feels terribly guilty that it is his fault, and that he invited some wayward spirit to live with them.
Me, 17. Standing with a group of friends at a friend's house. In a woods. There's 6 of us. All close friends in high school. We're alone at the house, have drinks and listening to music. Gets around 11 o'clock. We're cooking pizza. Smoking outside while we wait. All talking and joking around. Good_times.jpg. I turn to check on pizza. As I move, I can hear something move in the near distance. Friends were talking and my movement made noise, but the other sound was clearly from somewhere else. I stop for a second and look, but it's pitch black. Check on pizza, it's red and we eat. Gets to 1 a.m. now, all playing GTA 4, seeing how long we could survive on 5 stars. Loud thud comes from back of house, where we were smoking. Almost like someone kicking the back door. All of us freeze and stare at each other. All go check the back door, looks fine. Turn on all the exterior lights, can't see anything. We're all completely silent, looking out for about half an hour. Thud come from the front of the house. Shit ourselves. MP3. We lock the back door and go to the front, no sign of anything. Turn off everything inside and leave outside lights on. We all go to separate windows upstairs and look out to try see something. Again, waiting silently. 3 a.m. now. All of us are tired and figured it was someone either just messing with us or a burglar testing to see who was in and thought 6 was too many or something. We're all still scared, so we stay in one room upstairs, unspoken agreement we're staying awake till morning. After 4 a.m., we've calmed a little but still keeping an eye out the window. Friend says he saw something moving just in the shadows. We all think he's joking, but he's dead serious. We call the police and they say they'll send someone out. We're about 15 minutes drive from the closest station. We just try and wait until they come. Eventually, they do. We can see their headlights from the end of his road. All relieved and glad to see them. As the car gets closer, it lights up the area around the house where the exterior lights didn't reach. Light filters through the trees and bushes. For about 5 seconds, I can make out at least 3 grown men hunched down in the tree, running away. They were dressed in dark, heavy clothes, from what I could tell. We speak to the police and they tell us it's been happening a lot over the last few weeks. They start by banging on doors, then windows, then smashing windows. One house a few miles away had all the windows smashed while just a woman was in the house. They then started screaming into the house really vicious threats or phrases. Police don't go into details of what they say. Try to tell us it hasn't escalated past that, so to try not to worry, probably scared off by now. They wait with us while another police car comes and picks us up and brings us all home. Next day, friend whose house it is goes home with parents. When they get home, every window is smashed, all inside doors are off the hinges. Mattresses have all been stabbed about 100 times each, every light bulb has been smashed too. They obviously GTFO and head to a relative's house. Driving down their driveway, they pass a wooded area and see 3 men stood watching them pass by. Not the best story maybe, but from personal experience, something like that is terrifying. No idea what they were up to. If it was teenagers, I could excuse it as vandalism, but the men I saw were at least in their 40s.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.